In this training, I'll be revealing all the equipment, software, services, tools, and free resources I use and that you'll hopefully benefit from too. So let's start with the software and services. Firstly, I use something called thumbsup.tv, which shows how your thumbnail will look on different devices. There's also clickpilot.app, which is an alternative thumbnail preview with more options. I use Google Workspace, which provides email, cloud storage space, and access to Google Docs for writing and editing scripts, and also spreadsheets as well. This is most of what you'll need to run your channel. You can start with a free Google account, but it's also worth paying for a Workspace subscription for more space and a custom email domain. So you can have you@yourdomain.com, so your email looks more professional than just a standard Gmail. I then use viewstats.com and socialblade.com, which is great for seeing how other channels are doing and looking at your own growth. Viewstats.com even tracks thumbnail and title changes from other channels, so you can see the point where they made a change to test something out. Vocalremover.org separates music and voiceover on a clip, so it's useful for removing background music. I use Storyblocks, which is a paid subscription with unlimited downloads of video clips, templates, and music, so really useful for making videos. I also use Epidemic Sound, which is a paid subscription with unlimited downloads of music and sound effects. Short.io, that's what I use to shorten my links, so when I have magnates.media/something, I'm using short.io. Then there's Upwork.com, which is for finding team members. Stripe.com for accepting payments, Sedgster.com/PDF editor, that is just for if you ever need to add your signature to a PDF like a contract. There's Xero.com, which is for accounting and bookkeeping. We'll cover that a little bit later in the course. There's Notion, which is very customizable. I use it for managing most aspects of channel production. Twitter.com/thumbnail colors. This is a library of eye-catching thumbnails, which is useful for inspiration. And NordVPN, but any VPN will do the job. And we'll cover a lot of these in more depth in the relevant later sections of the course. Okay, now let's talk about some other tools. Now, I don't actually use these myself very often, as I tend to keep things as simple as possible, but they can still be very valuable. So there's vidIQ and TubeBuddy, which are browser extensions which add extra useful tools to YouTube. These are the two most popular ones. HemingwayApp.com analyzes your script and spots areas for improvement. 1of10.com finds outliers that are outperforming a channel's normal view count. So it's good for finding title and thumbnail inspiration because these videos are doing particularly well. So you can basically see what's working. Thumbnailpreview.com and wouldyou.click, which are alternative thumbnail preview and comparison tools. Podcast.adobe.com, automatic audio improver. Powerthesaurus.org, if you're stuck on words for a title, this can help inspire some ideas. Canva.com makes graphic design much easier, as they have templates for banners, thumbnails, and so on. It's very beginner friendly, whereas for more advanced creators, you can use Photoshop or hire a designer. Trends.google.com, which helps you identify trends, spot what's popular right now, and which keyword combinations are searched more than others. Newsletterhunt.com helps you find past newsletters. Invoice-generator.com generates invoices for free. Pixabay.com and Pexels.com give you royalty-free stock footage and images and assets. These are generally considered the best two free options. If you want a more extensive collection, there's also a link here to a Reddit post which has loads of different places you can get assets for your videos completely free. I've also included a Reddit link here to a video editing 101 guide, which just has some additional tutorials and FAQs that you may have if you're just getting started with video editing. Lots of useful resources on there. Then there's filemail.com, which lets you transfer up to 5 gigabytes of files for free. You can also get 15 gigabytes of free storage space with Google Drive. Magicstudio.com/Magic Eraser. This removes unwanted objects or text in photos. Support.google.com/YouTube. Additional help for YouTube. And finally, I've linked to 2 different resources to help stay productive, which are Chrome extensions called Stay Focused and Focus Sounds, useful for just helping productivity whilst you're working. Okay, next up we've got some YouTube channels which can help you with your video editing. For example, there's Hayden Hillier-Smith, who used to be Logan Paul's editor and is quite well known in the YouTube editing space. And there's a bunch of other channels here. You can search yourself and find which ones you find most useful for learning from. And obviously you've also got the entire video editing course as part of this course you've bought, so that'll keep you going with plenty of video tutorials as well. But let's talk about using AI to make videos. I'll be honest, I would say AI is not yet at the stage where it can create extremely high quality scripts or videos with just the push of a button. We'll get there, but we're not there yet. However, AI absolutely can help improve aspects of your workflow. In its current form, think of AI as a tool to help you, not replace you. It doesn't do all the work for you, but if utilized well, it can make things a bit faster or more efficient. Within Magnates Media, AI is used for creating some thumbnail images or images for videos that will be manually animated. So using tools like Midjourney, you can create images that look like certain people or styles. This has been useful for me when covering people from the past, so for example JP Morgan, where there aren't great HD photos of them. Not only can we generate similar looking photos, you can choose their facial expression. So this is very useful for telling a story or getting an eye-catching reaction for thumbnails. Like I'll often use very expressive faces where there was no real photo that looked like that, but using AI we can generate one. You can also use AI for brainstorming titles and ideas. So using tools like ChatGPT, you can ask it to create engaging YouTube titles for a specific video of yours, or even come up with interesting topic suggestions for your niche. But again, use AI for inspiration and ideas, not the final product. Another useful resource is how to contact YouTube, and I've found Team YouTube on Twitter have replied to my questions the vast majority of the time, so I'd start there. If you're not getting a reply, just tweet them again and eventually you will get a response. But now let's talk about equipment. So here's what I use. My entire YouTube channel is basically run with a laptop and microphone. That's all I really need. And if you're doing a faceless channel, it's likely the same for you. Or potentially you won't even need a microphone if you're outsourcing the voiceover. The microphone I use is a Shure SM7B. This is one of the most common microphones used by creators. If you're doing voiceover speaking directly into a microphone, it's a good choice. I then have a desk-mounted boom stand so I can easily move the microphone, but any microphone stand will do the job. I've linked to the one I use, but any's fine. In terms of computers, if you're going to be doing the editing yourself, you will need a more high-end computer. But if not, then any decent laptop will work. But now let's answer one of the big questions. Does production quality matter? Yes. Anyone who says it's completely irrelevant is lying. Low quality, dark footage with audio that's hard to hear is clearly not going to work as well. However, you hit a point of diminishing returns with equipment quality. Once you're at a relatively good level, which can be achieved fairly cheaply and quickly, upgrading equipment from there gives your videos a very slight edge, but that's it. Spending 10 times more on the equipment does not raise the quality level by 10 times at all. And for YouTube, people really don't need insane movie-like production value anyway. The more natural setup can feel more genuine and authentic sometimes. After all, people are watching your videos because of the value you can bring them, and because they like you and your message or stories. They're not watching because you have a fancy camera lens. So we do need to get the fundamentals right, but there's no need to spend loads of time and money on equipment. We'll begin by talking about two of the most crucial equipment lessons I learned the hard way that can allow you to reach a very good level of production quality, but without spending much money at all. And those two things are that the lighting is often more important than the camera, and the recording environment is more important than the microphone, and good audio is the most important thing of all. Honestly, those two tips alone are so invaluable, because most people's immediate thought is, oh no, I have to go and buy a really expensive camera and microphone. But the answer is no, not really. For example, if you're in a really echoey room with a lot of background noise, that'll make a much bigger difference than whether it's a $50 microphone versus a $500 microphone. So before splashing lots of money on fancy cameras and microphones, realize that you can still achieve quite professional quality by instead focusing more on the actual setup first. And a couple of other inexpensive things we'll cover too. So let's break down some equipment options and things to consider when creating videos. And whilst we're going through this, remember there is no right or wrong when it comes to which specific model or brand to get. I can give you some equipment suggestions as I've spent a lot of time researching and testing this stuff so you don't have to. But there are a lot of different options which could also achieve good results too. So for example, if you already have recording equipment, the chances are it'll do the job just fine for now. If you've got a pretty nice camera or microphone, use what you have. If you are looking for new equipment, you can also look in the description of YouTubers whose videos you like the look of. A lot of them will list the equipment they use. That's a really useful tip, because if you can find someone whose videos look how you want yours to look, or whose videos sound how you want yours to sound, you can just get the same equipment. But if you don't have any equipment already, and you don't have any specific YouTuber style you wish to emulate, here are some recommendations from me. If you're going to be on camera, the easiest option is actually 100% free. Just use your smartphone. These days, smartphone cameras are actually pretty great, so this is the perfect free option to get started. But if you really want the highest level of quality and versatility, you'll want to search for a DSLR or mirrorless camera with a flip screen so you can see yourself when filming. I know the Canon M50 is popular with some creators. When I was starting out, I used a Canon 70D, which was great. There's now later models like the Canon 90D, but one of the older models would do the job just fine and be cheaper. I also used a f/1.4 aperture lens to help get that blurred background effect for talking head videos. Lighting. The free and best option is natural lights. Filming outside or by a window with bright natural light will look great with no cost and no setup. Another option is LED lights. You can get these pretty cheap, and they actually provide a pretty nice atmosphere to your videos, which is why you'll see a lot of YouTubers using these. Or you could get a softbox lighting kit. If you have the budget and the space, and you want to light a larger area, like a whole room, this will allow you to get very good lighting. A softbox softens the light so it's not as harsh when pointed directly at you. Microphone options. There are different kinds of microphone depending on what type of content you're making. Firstly, a lav mic. A lavalier microphone, often called a lav mic, or lapel mic, is a small hands-free microphone that can clip onto your clothing. This is ideal in many situations if you're filming on camera, because you can move around with the mic clipped on, but keep the same sound levels, and it also allows you to have the microphone pretty close to your mouth, which is always better. We always want our microphone close to the audio source, which in most cases is going to be us. You can get an okay lav mic for as little as $20 on Amazon. Just check the reviews first and then see what deals are on, and search on YouTube for a preview of the microphone so you can check it sounds okay. However, given the importance of audio, if you want a higher quality lav mic and you have the budget, I had a good experience with the Rodelink Filmmaker kit, which is also very popular with creators. Another option is a shotgun mic. This is a microphone you can attach to the top of your camera, and is useful if you're vlogging but you want better audio than the inbuilt microphone in your camera. Just use a wind muff if you're filming outside. Another option is a USB microphone. Perhaps the most popular basic starter microphones on YouTube are the Blue Yeti or the Blue Snowball. These are pretty cheap USB microphones you just plug into your computer. But I'm guessing what's going to be most relevant for most people listening to this is a voiceover microphone. Because if you're not on camera at all, you don't need to worry about the microphone blocking your shot, and instead you can go for either a condenser or dynamic microphone, which you speak directly into from up close. My earlier documentary videos were all recorded with the Rode NT2A. The NT1A model would do fine as well if you have a smaller budget. And all of my most recent videos are with the Shure SM7B. Again though, remember the recording conditions and the audio processing afterwards tend to have a bigger effect than the microphone itself. So ideally record somewhere with as little background noise and echo as possible. Rooms with lots of furniture and carpet to absorb the sound are typically better. If you find your recordings still don't sound great, you can purchase something like acoustic foam tiles to help. Just search sound treatment for some ideas. As a DIY version of that, you could hang some clothes or sheets around the recording area to absorb the sound instead. With all equipment, it's ultimately going to come down to your personal budget and what type of content you're making. But now you have this list, you'll know all the equipment, software and resources that you're going to need.